It's like a secret. It's like a secret club about money that no one talks about, and people are ashamed and embarrassed that they haven't been into the club. I remember being 18 years old. I had racked up $9,000 in credit card debt on this card. And I remember one time I went to use it and it stopped working. And that was a hard swallow. That was a hard gulp on that one. This obviously is going to be a book review where I talk about my favorite fundamentals in the book so that you don't have to read the book. This is like Cliff's Notes in a sense. Financially abundant and doing well and rich. Probably got this information earlier in life. I am not a stripe person. I'm not a pattern person. I feel like I'm in jail. Am I in jail? No, but you might be in financial hell or a financial mindset of a hell. I remember when I was terrifying. Growing up, I grew up in a very rural community of about 3,000 people, Wasco, Illinois, out in the cornland, middle America, Illinois, farmland. By DeKalb. I left living with my mom and stepdad at 14. One day I walked out with a small little duffel bag because of the treatment, and I moved in with my dad, who lived in a larger city of about 36,000 people. My dad was a business owner. He had expressed he never really wanted children, so he didn't look at me as a child. He looked at me as a live-in employee, assistant, whatever he needed, that became my job. I immediately at 14 years old started working. And I remember receiving my first paycheck and never receiving any sort of guidance as to what I should do with my money. And I was 14 years old. I remember around 15 years old getting my first debit card, Victoria's Secret, and I became best friends. Why am I buying Victoria's Secret when I'm 15 years old? But this is what I was buying. Oh, it was like the Juicy Couture was a thing. So I was getting their velour version of the Juicy Couture. I never really learned what to do with my paycheck. And I remember one time I went to use it and it stopped working. I had racked up $9,000 in credit card debt on this card. I stopped using it and paid it off. I have never made that financial mistake again, but I learned the hard way. So I've never really been educated or taught money. I could easily Google things. Do I? No. I could easily reach out to a financial advisor that I'm friends with. Do I? No, because I'm ashamed. I have shame. And I hope that you don't feel shame. And if you do, I want to release that from you today because I want you to buy this book. Reading it yourself and underlining it and rereading it. And I suggest reading it quarterly because I'm not going to exaggerate. I finished reading this book about 10 minutes ago. Things that I've learned in this book are the conversations that no one ever really has. And elite that are financially abundant and doing well and rich probably got this information earlier in life from either trial and error or lovely gifting of a family member or friend who had figured out. It's like a secret. It's like a secret club about money that no one talks about, and people are ashamed and embarrassed that they haven't been into the club, know that the club exists. It's like this secret society talking about money when we all pretty much make money. We are all focused on money, earning money, spending money, how we spend our money, what we spend our money on. All of these are important things. And this book, my most favorite aspect of this book were the affirmations. Every morning I do my 5-minute morning. They are working on the floor of a neighbor and it's annoying. I'm breaking out of jail. I'm taking off the stripes of my jail uniform. Okay, so much better. Affirmations, obsessed with them. And what I recommend you do, which is what I do, I wrote down the ones that really resonated with me, like I deserve to be prosperous and wealthy. If you have any sort of limiting belief, you write it next door. So what I wrote, my mom used to teach me wealth equals greed, that wealth is limited. There's not enough wealth. And my mom's energy around money was always anger and hate, jealousy, I'm sure, envy. Growing up, I was always afraid to make money, which is why my dad was able to brainwash and manipulate me that running his $1 million company, that making $36,000 a year was a great idea. So you're supposed to write it in 3 tenses. I deserve, Lisa deserves, and Lisa, you deserve. So speaking to myself, speaking as though I'm speaking to myself, or speaking as though I'm speaking about myself. Does that make sense? So you write them out in 3 ways. So Lisa deserves, I put, fuck yeah, she does. Lisa, you deserve to be. Mom won't like it. That's what I wrote. Crazy, right? As I'm writing it, I'm feeling an emotion. That's what I wrote. And so as I'm writing it, I'm realizing that I do have money noise. I do have money blocks. I do have things stopping me from making more money. Even though I make a great living and an income, I still had more boundaries that I was implementing on myself. Then I was asked to write out what my money goals are, and they're quite amazing. So in the book, it even references a common myth about money is that there is not enough to go around, which is the limiting belief that my mom had picked up. We grew up quite lower income of a family. My stepdad was a bricklayer. There were 3 children. We lived in a very affluent area so that we could go to some of the best schools. My mom had resentment of the neighbors who had money and that we didn't. It was perpetually coming out of her mouth that people with money are bad, makes you greedy, makes you mean, blah, blah, blah. So these were limiting behaviors that I picked up from her. Ironically, it is this resentment of rich people that keeps them poor, because they would resent themselves if they became rich. Whoa, that was a whoa moment for me. He has a whole chapter in philosophy. A property of the physical universe is that it is orderly. The planets proceed around the sun in the same orderly manner as electrons, proceeding through the nuclei of atoms. Your life is ordered by your thoughts. Bobby Birdsale describes this very simply by saying that the mind is composed of 2 parts, the thinker and the prover. The thinker thinks, and the prover proves whatever the thinker thinks. So the prover does not care what you think. You can think whatever you want, and the prover will try to prove it true. The job of the prover is to keep you from going crazy. Because if you went around all day thinking people will hurt me, and you discover that everywhere you went people loved you, this would drive you nuts. I love how he broke down that, because if you're thinking an affirmation and it's constantly your prover is looking for examples to constantly show you that you're right. If you're sad and depressed and you're feeling alone and you're like, nobody likes me, nobody cares about me, you're gonna notice the person that gives you the snide face, the barista that ignores you, or the person that doesn't hold the door open for you. Like, when you're feeling in lack, you're only looking for lack. It's kind of like if you're driving down the road and you're like, I like that red car, you're gonna see a ton of red cars now because you've clicked on the consciousness of that thought. And it's the same with money. The writer also explains that writing down things is the fastest way to incorporate the ideas into your conscious mind. And so he suggests adding your name, like I exampled, Lisa deserves to be, Lisa, you deserve to be, I deserve to be. The 3 different tones. I'm telling you, page 12, a must do. Then he made a cute quote that I simply love. Having realistic goals is not recommended. I love that so much. I mean, this is a spirituality channel, so I'm getting into the spirituality of what the book accentuates. There have been some negative ideas floating around for a very long time that affect spiritual people as they work at building their prosperity consciousness and creating abundance in their lives. Some of these negative ideas are that money and spirituality don't mix, and that the material world is an illusion, that money is the root of all evil. The truth is that the universe is made up of divine substance, which is God, and nothing but God. You can't get away from God by being materialistic. You are immersed in God, and there's no way out. Furthermore, there's not one single particle of the physical world that is, in essence, not okay with God. So having a prosperity consciousness enables you to function easily and effortlessly in the material world. The material world is God's world, and you are God. You are God being yourself. So if you are experiencing pleasure and freedom and abundance in your life, then you are expressing your true spiritual nature. And the more spiritual you are, the more you deserve prosperity. I mean, that rewrote it for me right there. That erased my mom's lack, negative, evil, greed. That swapped it out right there. By me sharing my spirituality and my wholeness, nothing but abundance can come. By being my true real self and coming from a place of love, kindness, giving, and inspiration for others to help heal their situations, right? Loves it. So the thoughts that cause people the most issues are about survival. Another category of thoughts that cause problems is thoughts related to getting approval or love from other people. These are related to survival because during our infantile helplessness, when thought patterns are first formed, it appeared that our survival was dependent upon the approval of others. Oof. And here's the big paragraph that I underlined the most. The key here is to realize that you are your own source of love. It is impossible to love someone else more than you love yourself. It is impossible to experience more love from someone else than you are willing to give yourself. Another way of saying this is that once you begin to enjoy your own company, it becomes a lot easier to enjoy the company of someone else. And this, my friends, is what I've been working on for years spiritually. Loving being by myself, loving hanging out with myself, dating myself, doing all the things. Because if I don't feel great, warm, and gushy about myself, how am I going to do that with someone else? How? If I can't like present company and I have to spend 24 hours with this person and I can't figure out how to be happy with this person, how am I going to ever romantically ever be able to have happiness with another person? This book is about money, but this little thing right here was like a ooh-wee. Like I knew these things, but to read about it in a book about financial abundance correlates the fact that all of this is connected. So then he says that there's 5 biggies that he has found from consulting with people with money financial situations. And the 5 biggies are a birth experience, parental disapproval syndrome, specific negatives, unconscious death urge, and other lifetimes. And for me, the big one, parental disapproval syndrome. Whew. The close connection that children feel with their parents, especially with their mother, causes them to imitate their parents. Because of their uninhibited intuitive abilities, children tend to imitate not only their parents' behaviors, but also their thoughts. To most parents, it is a little disconcerting to see their subconscious acted out in 3 dimensions. Parents react to their discomfort by providing their children with a bunch of rules about how to act. Do you understand what I'm saying right there? Parents, they give you their flaws, their tainted mindsets that they don't wish to give you. They accidentally do it, just existing. And then when they see you behaving like themselves, they make up rules to punish you into not thinking the way that they trained you. Psh, crazy. Rules about right thinking, rules for the right use of time, rules about reward and punishment, all of which impose limits and act to inhibit the divinity of the child. After a while, most children give up trying to overtly get what they want outside of the rules they have been established once they realize that it is not safe to be a rebel, at least not openly. I mean, even with failure, I remember my mom would have a bad day, and so she'd eat ice cream. And I remember that I would get a good grade, and so we would eat ice cream. Ice cream then became sugar, became the crutch for me. So then I would have food issues. Again, my mom didn't do this maliciously or intentionally. She wasn't strategically thinking, how can I pass down terrible traits to my children? These were the self-soothing that she was utilizing to get through her human experience. And so I picked up the same mental blocks with food and with money. So this book is so powerful. Please, I've linked the book below. Please go get your copy. Please comment below that you have purchased your copy. If you've ever heard of the book Louise Hay's, or I'm obsessed with that book. If you have back pain, if you have dry eyes, if you have ingrown toenails, like that book will tell you what all of those limiting beliefs your body has about you based on the physical ailment that you have. And sis, let me tell you, it is always spot on. I will meet with people and they'll be like, oh, I'm having this pain. And I'll be like, let me look that up. And then I'll tell them, do you believe this limiting belief? And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah. And I'm like, you have to get rid of that limiting belief and that will release that human ailment within your physical body. Again, a chart very similarly, the sample affirmations that you should say when you're struggling with things. Like if you're having fear, sadness, jealousy, guilt, apathy, lust, greed. If you're looking for safety, this is another one I should mark off, safety. And the affirmation for safety, as long as I breathe, my body is safe. What have I said about breath work? The breath is the most powerful thing that we have complete control over. Also, I saw this beautiful picture, and I always forget about this. If you look at a tree, the tree is the same exact symbolism of our lungs. And aren't we taught that trees provide the air for us to breathe? I mean, everything is so connected. How do we not see it? The two that I initially circled, let go of desire to prove something. Have we not been working on this with Bufo Cambo? And the affirmation is, it is easy for people to see how It is easy for people to see how wonderful I am. I now feel comfortable in the presence of everyone. I mean, I just feel settled just reading that. I feel like I just took a nap or I had like a massage. I'm so relaxed just from reading that out loud to myself. And the other one I circled was self-love. I like myself. I am a lovable person. There's a whole bunch in here. Highly recommend. The truth about emotions. The truth about emotions is that bliss is your natural emotional state. Wouldn't it be so great to naturally always be in bliss? Negative emotions only possess the power that you give them. You give them this power by clinging to them. The tendency to cling to them is based on the belief that they are necessary for you for survival or necessary for you to get love, as described at the beginning of this chapter. Blah! Emotions are bodily reaction to thoughts we are afraid to know about. These two books, I'm telling you, I wish I had found this book sooner. I don't even know how I found this. I couldn't even tell you, but I know it took a month for it to get here. Your natural state is a powerful, intelligent being is bliss. Bliss is a pervasive feeling of well-being for no apparent reason. Other descriptions of this feeling are peace, joy, acceptance, calm, relaxing, all of which result in feeling loving. So then the affirmations start, and I wrote out any of them which triggered me. I got 5-6 pages of these affirmations that I wrote out. And there's a variety of them. I'll put a photo above, screenshot the one page, but there's so many pages of them. And it will help you to reformat your mind space, your mindset. These are things that we can talk about on coaching calls together for sure. Here's a big one I circled. I have a right to say no to people without losing their love. The tingles, oh my goodness. Oh, here's another one I circled. I forgive myself for not hating my parents and other people when it was appropriate or when they deserved it. People pleaser. Even though I should have hated them and been so resentful and mad, I just kept giving and I kept tap dancing harder. I kept elevating my, I can do better. I can try harder. Let's watch this. And there's actually a chapter, why you can't be a millionaire unless you are willing to feel your feelings about money. You have to have this relationship and conversation with money yourself. You have to have the conversation with yourself. Now, yeah, you can hire me to coach you to do that. I would love to. It's an honor. I would appreciate it. You can't expect to watch this and wake up a millionaire is what I'm trying to get at. Like, you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to write the affirmations out. So I am no longer afraid of my father's disapproval. And after I rewrote what the affirmation was, I wrote out the negative limiting belief that I had been carrying. And the one about mom's disapproval was a long one. And the one that I just read, I have a right to say no to people without them losing it. I wrote, wow, no is simply saying that's not in my preference. I had been brainwashed that no would mean that love would be taken away from me. And there leads the people pleasing from the narcissistic treatment. Says this book is more than just money. This book is life. This book is life. Football is life. Okay, emotions are far less permanent and definitive than the description would indicate. They are more like eternal weather. They arise uninvited and by surprise and change into something else as quickly as we are willing to accept them. Whatever the emotion means about you is something that you decide. It's all mindset. Huge fan. So this is something I referenced in other videos too. Laziness leads to self-esteem, which leads to riches. Mastering laziness with self-esteem is an important factor in increasing your income. You can practice this by staying in bed for an entire day on regular intervals until you can do it without feeling ashamed of yourself. It is interesting to observe that the only time that most people will allow themselves the simple pleasure of relaxing in bed all day is when they were sick. Can you imagine spending an entire day in bed? I cannot. I have guilt and shame laying on this couch for more than 4 hours. Think about a vacation where you do that and you come home so refreshed. There's something to this. So exercises to increase your self-esteem. Buy a personal calendar book and put in things that only you want to do for yourself. Whenever you have whenever you have a thought that starts with, I have to, I ought to, I need to, I'd better, I should, bleh. We are allergic to shoulding on ourselves. Change it to, I want to. And again, just reference this in my femininity video. You get to. You're able to. I want to. Or I should go to Pilates. I should eat that salad. I should call my mom. I get to call my mom. Well, I don't get to. Hopefully you get to. I no longer. This book is literally saying to stay in bed all day once per week. I cannot commit to that yet. Baby steps, okay? That's a huge jump. I work 7 days a week. This is a huge leap. But I do vacation often. I do travel often. In 2020, I was traveling every week. 2021, every other week. 2022, slowed down with my brother. 2023, amped it up to huge, big, major, massive trips like Egypt, Australia, India. And this year, I've been resting into me. I've been settling into me. I really haven't taken much for trips this year because I've been doing the work. I was doing the work on those trips too. That's gonna be a whole new series that I'm gonna film for you. Schedule time by yourself to do your affirmations. My 5-minute journal literally has affirmations in it every single day. I am writing affirmations. So I have this journal, this notebook of affirmations that I'm going to include next to my bed. I'm gonna rewrite it in a similar size journal so that they all stack neatly because the OCD in me can't have anything else. And then I'm gonna read these affirmations and I'm gonna write them down. Write that shit down. Just like the book says, writing it down helps your subconscious mind soak it in that much more. Common causes of poverty consciousness. When you grow up, it finally becomes safe to express the resentment you felt during childhood. An easy way to do this is to fail financially and have your parents live in continuing fear of having to support you or to feel responsible for your failure as you attempt to demonstrate to them what a poor job they did as parents. And there's more affirmations each chapter. I deserve to be prosperous and wealthy. It is okay for me to receive love and money from various people and places at once. Love it all. Then there's a chapter, I've never had to deal with this. Money, finances, commingling as couples. Money is considered the leading cause of this. So rude, this thing cuts me off. You should treat your money like a business. You should have meetings with your partner about money. You should have separate accounts. There is actually a paragraph where the book references that if a woman chooses to stay at home, the husband, bread earner should compensate her for for her career as nanny and housemaid, which you know how I feel about that. Ooh, the monthly budget, which I haven't had a budget. I don't have a budget. I wrote a budget and I wrote out, there's actually a chapter on how to separate your money out when you receive it and the different accounts that you should have and how much money you should have in each account and when you use that money. This book is just, please go buy this book. This book was like $10 for the amount of information that I received from this tiny little book. And it was intentionally written in a very small, easy to digest, readable form. How much was this book? $7.14. Go right now. Go right now. What are you waiting for? What, like, life-changing book for me. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you like this type of content. Let me know ooh, please comment below your biggest money fear. What is the money noise? What is the money noise that's recycling in your mind? What's the ish we need to clear out? Comment below, let me know. Back to life, back to